Oblivious by Shelley Winters. Mark is one of those people you might meet in your life who drifts through life as if he is in a dream. He lives simply, with no commitments, no worries, and no attachments. For him, his days are filled with moments of tranquility, followed by relaxation and entertainment. You might have heard the phrase, while others around you are losing their heads. While watching Mark go about his daily activities from an onlooker's perspective, there does oddly seem to be chaos occurring all around him as he goes about his business. He is oblivious that he is travelling up the stairway out onto the busy streets, while everyone else is travelling down the stairs. He is not in any hurry to go anywhere, but they are in a hurry. They need to get to work, and he is blocking their way. People are very irritated by this obstacle in their way, making them late for their train, late for work. And why isn't he going to work? Where is he going when everyone else is going in the opposite direction? Can't he see how much he bothers everyone around him? The answer to that is no. He's oblivious. He slowly makes his way to the top of the stairs. He doesn't change direction as people hurtle themselves downwards into the subway. At a steady, unhurried pace, he emerges and turns into oncoming people traffic, and the waves part around him. People scoff at his obstinate single trajectory. He does not budge an inch. As he lingers outside shop windows, he thinks of nothing of any consequence. As he does this, he is completely oblivious that he is staring directly at a person on the other side of the glass, who is taking a break from their work and having a much-needed sip of coffee. Mark does not notice the woman looking up at him into his glazed-over eyes. Well, that's just rude, she thinks to herself. A couple at the next table nudge each other and look at Mark staring in at the woman drinking her coffee. A child sniggers. It goes on for so long, it becomes a little awkward. Mark, however, is unperturbed by any of these exchanges, and when he is done daydreaming, he moves on. A woman jogging with her dog becomes suddenly aware the lead has drawn taut behind her, pulling her up short and forcing her to stop jogging. A sloppy, dopey-looking man is petting her dog. Can't he see he's stopping her from jogging? She needs to keep her heart rate going. She jogs on the spot. He doesn't like to be petted by strangers, she comments. He seems to be ignoring her words and continues to bother the dog. The dog is trying to back away from Mark's affection, not really warming to him. This man smelled strange to the dog, sort of a stagnant, malignant, stale smell of museums and libraries. He didn't like the smell. He backed further away, but he had become entangled around the tree. Through avoiding the man and his owner frantically navigated around the tree and the man in her way. She finally got the dog free and jogged away. The man stood up slowly, watching the dog go down the street. He was watching the dog, not the jogger. Had he paid more attention, he would have seen the jogger stop to comment and point towards him with a fellow dog jogger. There was a lot of pointing and wagging of fingers and shaking of heads and nodding of heads. Then the joggers continued on their way. Mark came upon a newsstand and began to rifle through the magazines on the racks close to the stand. He spent many minutes reading articles, horoscopes. He always enjoyed reading the horoscopes. He would work out which horoscope he was today so that it was true. He was oblivious of the busy man at the kiosk, whom when he was free scowled at him. Is he going to buy something or what? He never did buy anything. He was content to just skim through the light entertainment within the glossy pages. Finally, when he had exhausted all the fun articles, he moved on, much to the chagrin of the kiosk trader. He waved a fist at him, but he could not comment as another customer came to the cellar and bought a paper. Mark had slowly wandered round the corner, oblivious of the pain and destruction he had left in his wake. Finally, Mark stopped in front of a tiny house. It was as if it had been squeezed between two enormous high-rise office buildings, a holdout against development. This house was extremely narrow. It could have once been a throughway from one street to the next, a convenient way to get to the bus or station, and now the house took up the space. Anyone looking at the house would wonder how anyone could feasibly live in it. A single bed would surely take up the entire floor space from one side of the building to the other. This was Mark's home. He slowly took the key from his pocket and unlocked the door and slipped inside. Anyone else living in this house would find it most annoying, but Mark was oblivious. He carefully rearranged furniture, some pulled down from hidden doors, now its kitchen. He cooked himself a coffee. He pulled another door, and there was a tiny table. The chair tucked underneath. He assembled it and sat with his coffee, thinking of nothing of import, just dreaming, daydreaming. Busy traffic sped outside. People angrily beeped horns, shouted out of cab windows, and continued to race to work. Mark was oblivious to all this activity. All that existed to him was his coffee and his daydreams. He loved to daydream. He would think about all kinds of things. He would imagine walking in long grass, or lying in a field of wheat with one piece sticking out of his mouth, the crickets rubbing their legs in the hot summer sun, a straw hat covering his eyes. He pulled at another handle and a sink came out. He lazily washed the cup and pot, placed it back into its designated position. He walked to the end of the narrow passageway and pulled down a couch. Another lever revealed a TV. He sat back and watched TV until all was still outside. Everyone was at work. Just the delivery vans and taxi cabs remained on the roads. Old people strode by to get a quick bite at the cafe before ambling to the park. They felt it sensible to come out after the morning rush. Mark didn't see the need for any of that. Mark lived in his own world, which required he did things differently. He didn't mind if it was busy. Well, he hardly noticed. People would move around him. That's how things are. Well, they seemed to be that way for Mark. Oddly, he never got knocked into or a harsh word from anyone. His behaviour was never taken to task. What was he doing but walking and heading home? What could there be to say about that? Mark yawned. He'd been up since very early in the morning, and he decided it was time to take a nap. He lazily pulled an extra tray from under the couch and converted it into a small bed. He changed into his nightwear. Behind another cupboard was a tiny sink. He pulled out a toothbrush and toothpaste, dabbed a small button of toothpaste onto the brush and brushed slowly. Once done, he lay down and fell to sleep. People outside were coming home from work. The peak hour traffic of cars, buses and people built up. Mark breathed steadily and evenly, oblivious.